whoever's listening to this, I really just please encourage you to keep going. You're doing great things. You're on exactly the right path. So just keep going. And my thoughts are with you.
My name's Peter Sumpton, and this is the Marketing Study Lab podcast. A podcast for those that are thinking, have thought and are doing, or already have a marketing qualification. But there's a little bit of something for everyone, as we cover a whole host of marketing topics. I chat to some amazing guests, each one a superstar in their own niche. And if you have a burning marketing question already, or after this episode, get in touch, we'll chat it through. peter@marketingstudylab.co.uk, or find me on LinkedIn. The link is in the show notes. If you'd like to leave a review on iTunes, this will really help others find this podcast and spread the marketing word. Now let's get on with today's episode. Let's continue to look through the marketing mix, the extended marketing mix, I should say, or the 7 Ps as they're fondly known. 8 Ps, 9 Ps, whatever Ps we're up to, we're going to look at what we class as the extended marketing mix, or continue. Blah, long blurb, carry on, Pete. This week we're going to look at place. That's what I'm trying to say. Should have just cut to the point. But first, let's meet Dr Geraint Evans, or G for short. G is an award-winning Interim Chief Marketing Officer with a track record for delivering world-class commercial strategies, leveraging the full marketing mix, products, platforms, and channels, and has worked with the likes of Virgin Media and Odeon. G holds a PhD in Marketing and Entrepreneurship, a Master's in Marketing, and is a Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. So clearly there was only one question I had to start this conversation with. G, give us your best doctor joke.
Oh, geez, that's a good one. I think my favourite one probably is being Welsh. My favourite one I've heard is you have to kind of bear with me as I explain both sides of the joke. But basically, a guy goes to the doctor and the patient says, "Doctor, I can't stop singing the green green grass of home." And the doctor says, "Well, that sounds like Tom Jones syndrome." To which the patient says, "Is it common?" "Well, it's not unusual." Oh, that sounded awful. Yeah, no, as you can tell, more of a marketeer than a comedian.
Yeah, it's okay. We can edit that out, and we'll put like Peter K or somebody in there. What's the Welsh guy? The Welsh comedian.
Oh, Rod Gilbert.
Yes, we'll put him in instead. No one will ever know. It's fine.
Perfect. Yeah, no. So, yeah, not my forte.
Get on to more serious stuff. What's the story that's brought you to this stage of your career as marketing consultant and board advisor, CMO, bit of everything, really?
Yeah, it's like I often say, really, I'd love to say that, many decades ago, I had some kind of grand plan to get here and sort of architected my career to make sure it happened. But, realistically, that's not the case. It's a lot of luck, a lot of breaks along the way, a lot of great mentors and people that gave me an opportunity. I guess a lot of hard work and a lot of laughs and a few tears as well. But somehow I find myself here in a kind of more, I guess, advisory capacity and helping out companies with transformation too. So yeah, it's exciting.
That's cool. So, in terms of your background, then, is it more academic? Obviously you got the doctorate, etc., but was it always marketing led, or again, kind of guided in that direction?
So I think, as I joke about on my LinkedIn profile, I guess when I left university, I fully expected to not have to worry about any of this career stuff and just become a rock star or a rugby player or an actor, or preferably all three at any given time. So that was kind of what I thought was going to happen. In terms of kind of getting into marketing, then after some kind of like difficulties, I guess, finding a job as any graduate does, back then or even now, I just got a lucky break in my local paper, because that's how old I am. In my local paper was an advert for a marketing executive role that ended up weirdly being for a startup company, a kind of, what was sort of startups in those days, in financial services, and they were looking for someone to come in and just essentially help the marketing manager out with just day to day and odd jobs and bits and pieces of admin, and it just sort of fell into my lap really. I went and managed to kind of bluff my way through the interview and got my first break, and kind of progressed from there really. Just managed to kind of get a few sort of entry level marketing roles, start to get some exposure to some bigger brands like the Argoses and the Littlewoods of the world, and just sort of work my way up really. So yeah, it was never a grand plan, but I guess it was always meant to be in some kind of weird way.
Before we continue, what do you like to be known as? Is it Doctor, Sir, G? Please explain.
That's very that's very nice to ask. Yeah, my name is not the easiest. Never really thought that one through really. So hardly anybody can actually say Geraint possibly or correctly. But most people just call me G, or maybe some rude words if I've upset them. But yeah, just call me G.
Excellent, G. Fantastic stuff. I noticed you've had a well-established career, and at some point you decided to take a well-earned sabbatical, but you've always kept your eye on the marketing profession, as good marketers do. So from the outside looking in, what did you learn, and what should be the students' focus in the near future in terms of marketing?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, it's funny, when I did take a bit of a break a while back, just to kind of recharge my batteries and get ready for whatever the next chapter is in my kind of career in life. Then, I was for first in a long time able to sort of just reflect and do some research and sort of figure out what was going on in the market without having to kind of deliver for a particular client or a particular project. What that kind of looked like in reality is it sort of meant that I could go to, conferences and events that maybe I just didn't have time to go to before. I had a chance to, read the white papers that come into your inbox that, you really should read, but you don't get around to it. And, and obviously look at some of the more kind of cutting edge academic research as well that's around from my kind of academic work. So that was a great chance to kind of consume all that content. I think in terms of conclusions that I've taken out of that, and kind of a lot of what I'm applying now in my own professional work is a kind of realization that a lot of the technology that I've personally been guilty of, but I know others have kind of talking about as if it's in the future. Technology like artificial intelligence, like the blockchain, machine learning, deep learning, whatever derivative of AI, you might connect all of this together. 5G technology is just, arriving now. All this stuff is often referred to as, wow, in the future we'll do these things. But I think what I realized pretty quickly is that it's very much happening right now. The kind of, this idea that companies are sort of, trying to be more innovative in the future is a complete misnomer. Like, they're being really innovative right now. And I think, connected to that, I think, the huge exciting part of having some time off just to kind of like get a sense of kind of what's been going on while I've had my own head down is just to see the kind of overall quality of the content and campaigns that are out there, particularly from a digital and social media perspective. Just seeing some of the incredible work that even really well-established brands are doing, just kind of catching up on their ideas and what they've done and their insights is been really exciting. So I guess to kind of answer your direct question, I would strongly suggest that any new marketeers or marketeers joining the workplace or looking to kind of take their career to the next level, then I think having a really solid personal understanding of technology, innovation and digital in particular is a kind of absolute must do. It's not an option. I strongly encourage them to learn how to code. Like this one is one of the best things that I ever did was take a coding course and start to teach myself some basic things. All this kind of stuff really. The more kind of hands-on their knowledge is, the more they understand this kind of crazy emerging world around us. I think it's going to hold them in really good stead in their careers.
So as that world becomes more fragmented and there's more shiny new objects in our way, there's the argument, and I've seen it on various job sites, but there's the argument of niching down within a particular skill set, really getting niche.
Sure.
Within marketing, do you agree that people should be doing that, or would you be focused on becoming a well-rounded marketer instead?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's definitely a challenge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the market is sort of looking for very specific skill sets and deep understanding in certain areas. So, I've definitely been guilty of recruiting that myself and looking for that within my teams on my own part. But having said that, I always look to recruit people who do have a rounded understanding and background. People that can see things through the whole marketing mix, or whatever we're calling it this week. However many P's or C's there are this week. I think it's I like the idea of people specializing in areas. It's useful to to kind of know that that's your niche skill set and where you really excel, perhaps. But what it can't ever be is at the expense of a more broad understanding. So in my mind, I think it's imperative that the basics of marketing and strategy and commerciality in overall really have to be there for every person, every marketeer. They've got to understand the big picture, why they're doing it, how it sits there, and how it kind of delights customers, but also supports growth within a company as well. It's imperative to have a rounded background, but definitely having a deep understanding of one area is certainly not going to hurt you in the current market, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing that people forget when they start niching down and focusing on one particular skill set is the fact that somebody at some point will have to manage these skill sets at a higher level as you do yourself. And if you haven't got that overall perspective, then it'd be difficult to get to that level.
I think so. Yeah, leading a business in the future, whether it's your own one as an entrepreneur, or or being part of a management team of any kind of company, you're quite right. The market is extremely competitive for any industry at the moment. It's only going to get more competitive. So having that kind of view and that understanding of all the different departments, all the different pressures and challenges that your colleagues are facing, and also the kind of opportunities within different areas, it's really, really important. You can't just focus on what the best, or what you think your particular discipline is. You've got to be able to support everybody else in the business too. So exactly as you say, really, if you have any aspirations to kind of lead something yourself, or be a part of something, then you've got to understand what everyone's talking about around the boardroom table, I think.
Yeah. Blank faces. I just want to go marketing qualification specific.
Sure.
One of the most challenging assignments is always to do with metrics and measurements. People always get stuck on that. Is there any tips on how to understand what metrics are important and which can lead to having a massive headache?
Yeah, wow, okay, it's a good one. It's something that I've had to work very hard myself over my career.
Sure.
Obviously when I say way back when I took my own sim qualifications, went up through the same route that I know a lot of the people listening to this podcast are going through now. The certifications and the diplomas, and sort of carrying on from there. You do look at a lot of different topics, but definitely to your point, having that kind of really strong understanding of the metrics that really drive a business's growth is absolutely essential. So, particularly in this kind of digital world that we've described a bit already on this discussion, it's understanding the importance of things like website conversion and traffic being referred to your website, and what it means and where it's coming from and what you need to do with it. Understanding concepts around, user journeys through sites, how people enter funnels, but unfortunately don't always come out the other end of that funnel having bought something. It's these are essential metrics for marketers to know, regardless of whether they're looking to specialize in digital purely. But equally, going back to what we just discussed just then, I would also strongly encourage those marketeers to get a more well-rounded view of the kind of the financial drivers of a company. I know it's something that is increasingly forming part of the topics and the content that they're learning and working on. But really understanding the bottom line commercials that you're looking to drive, what revenue and EBITDA and all those good things. Just understanding how companies operate and need to kind of thrive and grow is really essential. You've got to be able to have those conversations, to say with anyone around a table, anyone within your own business, and also understand those fundamentals really. So I think those are all really good things to know about, and equally the kind of more traditional marketing metrics around brand awareness and all those good things. It's also good to understand how that sits and works. And also I would definitely encourage them, as if they're not busy enough already, for them just this podcast, but also understanding some of the kind of mathematical parts to kind of quant, and to some extent qual research as well is still really, really relevant. So having some understanding of sample sizes and how things come together, and how you should interpret different findings, different statistics, I think is always going to be useful to them as they go through their career. So quite a lot of things, but it's this thing is sort of, I think really, it's a positive thing in terms of marketing's kind of current role. It's the fact that we now have to kind of span those areas and be able to have those conversations. It sort of shows what an exciting profession it is. So, there's no excuse not to know these things now. You can get some great support through Sim and others, and just kind of make sure that you're across all these things as you move forward.
Yeah, and marketing, amongst a whole host of professions, is that one that for me personally sits on top of the pile in having to have to know all these things, and has an effect on practically, if not every single department, in a much stronger way than any other department does in an organization. And it's getting that thought process into other departments' heads that marketing's there to help and facilitate more than anything. And if we're not doing that, then it's to the detriment of the company.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all about being part of that overall discussion, and kind of understanding where you fit in, and a lot of it. And again, I know it's a cliche, but it's a cliche that I really believe quite strongly in, which is kind of really owning that customer view. Making sure that the customer is at the heart of what your business is about, and for a marketeer to take a really strong role in that, the strongest possible role in terms of making sure your customers are delighted and happy with what you're doing and coming back, and that you service them in the way that they want. It's absolutely sort of ground level basics for any new marketeer, but it's the most important thing you can do. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, taking that to another level, or another module, if you like. Some people can really, really struggle on integrated communications, or understanding that concept.
Right. Yes, me too.
Yeah. Okay, well, this will be interesting question and answer then. You've had a lot of experience in building these types of plans.
I definitely have, yeah.
Where should we start when we look at integrated comms?
Yeah, look, it's a great one. It's a great challenge, right? Because the exciting part of the opportunity that we have now with so many channels in which to work with and communicate with, and not only online but offline still being massively important and significant for many companies. It's essential that you kind of do bring those together as best you can into a kind of the sort of single powerful message that integrated communications promises and contains. But as I kind of joked as you would sort of starting the question off, it's really easy to talk about this, but actually doing it is really hard. I think my learnings on it over the years, and how I've tried to approach it, I guess, obviously still clearly learning, but I think the more that you can drive around the fundamentals of integrated communication, whatever 4C model that you elect to kind of connect to it, the same themes always come out. The idea of being consistent, so a message that's understandable across all different channels is really important. Something that's very clear, or coherent is also really massively important, because we all have really short attention spans now. Not to say we have always had them, but a lot of research is pointing towards the fact that you're talking about sub-seconds of attention from people. Like goldfish have more attention span than apparently we do sometimes. But I think we can all connect to that thought. We're all guilty of flicking through our Instagram stream or our Twitter stream, and just scrolling through it really quickly, of hitting a website page and instantly making a decision about it, and often instantly clicking away from it. So we are used to that kind of pace of decisioning. So the kind of dream of integrated communications that helps you kind of amplify and focus on a single message, I think is really important. Something that's kind of cohesive and grabs that person, regardless of the channel in which they're interacting with you on. Then I think that's when it's at its purest form, and it works the best.
I think we can get too hung up on the actual channel, before we start to consider the comms as well.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, people do, we're all guilty of it. We do sort of natural position is to move into these like channel specific strategies, perhaps doing it in the way that you've always done it. But again, sort of having that sort of unifying, consistent and complementary message that they all kind of sit together and it all sort of makes sense. Very clear, positioning, very clear call to action to the customers. That they can all then be, almost greater than the sum of their parts, really, when they're all singing together and kind of focused on the same objective. So yeah, it's definitely a challenge, definitely easier said than done. But I couldn't sort of advocate more strongly for looking at it as a strategy. When done well, it can work brilliantly.
We've covered two in particular very complex, detailed marketing topics in terms of integrated comms and metrics. So I kind of want to put people at ease with this next question. And if people are sitting on the fence about looking at a marketing career or taking a particular qualification, why do you think they should do that?
Well, look, I guess by own admission, I'm biased. I've been through that route. I've kind of taken it through my career, and I found it personally to be massively beneficial. I think understanding the science behind what we do is really important. I think although some concepts in marketing are simple, that doesn't necessarily mean they're easy to do. A lot of it is hard to implement. It's exciting to try and do so, but having some structured qualifications behind it, I think is so useful. Having those strong fundamentals in place that helps you understand, how companies, as I say, are structured, how strategies are undertaken, the difference between strategy and tactics alone, which I think I understand, many years later. It's all going to help you. There's in my mind, there's no downsides to kind of learning and getting that grounding. Certainly there's no substitute for experience. There's no
Mm-hmm.
There's no substitute for rolling your sleeves up, getting into a role, getting in the trenches and kind of, going for it in a company context or yourself as an entrepreneur. There's no substitute for doing that, of course, but going at that with some solid grounding, solid learnings, and recognizing when you see certain patterns of behavior by your own company or by competitors, or you see customer demands working in a certain way, and being able to relate that back to the core learnings and qualifications, I think is really powerful. So yeah, I definitely would suggest both. Get qualified, continue to undertake a program of professional development as you go through your career, but equally just try and find a role that allows you to, I guess, sort of flex your muscles a bit and sort of, implement what you're learning is critical.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself, to be honest. So moving swiftly on, this question, kind of a bit selfish of me to ask it, but in reading some of your blogs and some of the content you've produced, you wrote one about a particular person, and being a massive red, I have to ask, Jurgen Klopp, discuss.
I love it. Oh, I could talk all day about you. Yeah, definitely. I mean, where do I begin? Really, I just think this guy is such a fascinating leader example. I mean, admittedly, he was kind of part of I guess a new generation of managers, entering the Premiership. Just before Pep joined, obviously with Man City, and just the way he approaches things, his kind of inspirational leadership style, I think is so fascinating. I think it's, again, kind of can be applied by lots of people in lots of ways. I love the positivity that he exudes. That's something that I, sort of try to do myself in my own leadership style, is, kind of be a positive, role model, I guess, and an example of, how I'd like the team to be. But, you can just see how much he cares for the players and for the fans in particular, and it can tell it's clearly 100% heartfelt and real. So I think also connected to that kind of authentic leadership piece as well, I think is really exciting to see from someone like himself, that you sort of feel like you're getting the sort of real Jurgen Klopp, or Professor Jurgen Klopp, as I like to call him. I think it's so impactful. It's compared to some other managers in the Premiership, it must remain nameless. Kind of a little bit more dour and have a very different leadership style in my mind. It'd be Jurgen that I'd want to play for, I think.
Yeah, and like you said, it's just so infectious for everybody involved. Even if you're not involved, just watching the fella, it's so infectious.
Yeah, definitely. No, he's definitely got some strong competition now with Pep Guardiola, as I
Yeah.
mentioned. But you know, those two kind of battling out at the top of the Premiership for the next couple of years is definitely going to be super interesting.
Absolutely. So, moving swiftly on, G, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Oh, all right, I think so. Yeah, go on, try.
Well, you've got no choice, so. Name one must read business book.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Oh, there are so many good ones. I tell you one that I read a while back that I really liked. It's not too old, but one just kind of was out a year or so ago. I think is The Excellence Dividend by Tom Peters.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's just around that kind of having that kind of mindset of excellence and sort of driving to do your best and that sort of innovative approach that we've talked a lot about on this call. So yeah, if there's one that I recommend people picking up and checking out, I think it would be that one.
What was the last thing you Googled?
What was the last thing I Googled? I think it's probably something to do with Wales football, to be honest. Yeah, I was desperately searching for some news around some of our team members' possible movements between teams this summer. So,
Okay.
Particularly Ben Woodburn, in terms of who you'd be familiar with from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Just sort of, I think I searched Ben Woodburn move to try and get a sense of whether he was going to be given a chance in the Liverpool first team this year, or whether somebody else was going to get him. That was probably the last thing I googled at lunchtime.
Brilliant. What is your most used app at the moment?
Okay, wow. I've got to be honest. WhatsApp is increasingly becoming the center of like my kind of communications. Really, I know that I'm far from unique in that, but you know, having kind of been, you know, again, sort of being old, as I've pointed out a few times, you know, sort of be more of the old school of, you know, of email and text and even actually phoning people sometimes. You know, WhatsApp was always the one that I think I used the least out of those media, but now it's just become my absolute go-to. So yeah, I think WhatsApp. But equally, you know, all the social platforms really, and I'm crazy into my social media and digital. So you know, I'd have to sort of equally say WhatsApp, you know, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, you know, a bit of Snapchat. Although clearly I don't really understand what I'm doing, but kind of sort of embarrassing way. But yeah, so I'd say all those, but mainly WhatsApp is the one that I seem to be clicking on first.
Brilliant. I think that just highlights as well to listeners the fact that you don't necessarily need to know and understand all the channels to be successful in marketing, dependent on what industry you're in. It's applying the theory and the methodology behind it that's the important part.
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. You have to get into it, and like, you know, and that's really what's important as well for anyone. You know, anyone can begin this journey of learning. You know that you know that there's some supports really. I think it's, you know, anyone can pick it up at any time. It's not just for not just for you people younger and cooler than myself. It's for anyone. You know, so we can all do it. We can all get there.
What is your favourite theory, concept, or methodology?
Oh wow, these questions are brilliant. Obviously, we talked a lot about marketing in this call. I think probably the sort of some of the philosophical stuff that I'm really into is some of the sort of stuff around Jean Baudrillard, like things like simulacrum and simulation and all the things that were articulated by the movie The Matrix. I think is something that is really interesting to me. You know, this kind of idea of symbolism and signs and culture and how we understand and interpret our existence. You know, sort of what is the truth in this existence is something that I think is really fascinating. So you know, that plus the 4 C's, obviously, that's, you know, that I would say those are my two main philosophies in life, I think.
Cool. Good philosophies. I'm reading The Chimp Paradox at the moment, and it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit.
Oh no, it's crazy. I mean, who knows, like, you know, what we're about to find out as well. You know, it's really still incredible. Go back to discussions around some emerging tech around AI and you know, and all the kind of neural network stuff, and you know, it's really still amazing how little we actually understand. You know, so how much we're going to know more about our own minds and our own existence in the coming years, and you know, go to Mars and all that good stuff is all very, very exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. What would be your one tip for people who are studying at the moment?
Well, first of all, you know, keep going. You know, my thoughts are with you. I know it's tough. I know how hard it is. I've done it myself many times, and that kind of constant motivation to get back in front of the laptop or the book or notes, or you know, or go to the lecture when, you know, things are hard. I've been there. I know it's tough. So apart from just keep at it and sort of encouragement that it's going to be worth it in the end. I think my what's got me through my academic life, I guess, and my learning and training is just, breaking things up into smaller chunks, and I know it's a huge cliche, but it just definitely works for me, just sort of grabbing a structured 5-10 minutes and half an hour each day and just trying to get your head around a particular topic and some quality time on one thing on a very regular basis. Or equally, if you're at that point where you're writing your assignment or your dissertation or whatever it might be, and you're struggling just to get it done, just trying to do a little bit every single day. Ideally at the kind of sort of same time, when you first get up in the morning or last thing at night, whatever your kind of preferred style is. Mm-hmm. That's what's got me through it, So it's a pretty basic tip, but I think just sort of little and often is what I would suggest. I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Love that. So, final question: rock star or rugby player?
Oh, well, being a proud Welshman, I think my kind of DNA would tell me to say rugby player, but I think a rock star who was really good at rugby would probably be the one. I think, yeah. If I had to choose, I'm kind of going against my nation there. But yeah, I think a Welsh rock star who loves rugby would be my preference.
Okay, we started with Tom Jones and we're finishing off with a Welsh rock star that plays rugby. Fantastic. G, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. But before you go, if people want to find more out about you, where should they go?
That's nice of you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, honestly. It's been fun. So you can find me on all the social media platforms.
Except Snapchat, I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not there. Exactly that. Yeah, Dr Geraint Evans on all social channels, and drgeraintevans.com.
G, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. Whoever's listening to this, I really just please encourage you to keep going. You're doing great things. You're on exactly the right path. So just keep going. And yeah, my thoughts are with you.
Thanks so much for joining us once again, G. It was a pleasure. I know it took a while to get it sorted between us two and our schedules, but it was well worth it. And here are my takeaways from that well worth waiting for conversation. And weirdly enough, it's about the future being now. The future is happening now. And those that cannot see it may be in big trouble later. The technology that we may be talking about now, as if it's futuristic, is already being used. Machine learning, AI, blockchain, and 5G, to name a few, are already out there. And we should know about them. We need to understand them, understand their capabilities, and start to see if they are applicable to our current working environment and utilize them if they are. When considering your profession, regardless of how niche it may be when you're starting your career, it is important to make sure you have a well-rounded view of marketing. It is definitely okay to niche down, but you will inevitably need to understand the bigger picture, your customer and their journey, as well as what's driving a company from a financial perspective and other non-direct marketing related elements within the organization and the wider industry. And finally, understanding the science behind marketing is majorly important, as even the simple models, take the 7, 8, 12, 400 Ps or the 7, 8, 12, 400 Cs of marketing, can be massively complex when implementing. Marketing qualifications can help build these foundations alongside experience and practical applications, and this is where it can become a massively powerful asset. So consider not only your experience and your practical application, but getting that qualification, which is your foundations to build on. And finally on this episode, we continue our look at the extended marketing mix, the 7 Ps. Promotion. Probably the most utilised of the 7 Ps in any extended marketing mix. Well, for marketers anyway. Why, you ask? I'm going to tell you. Stop with the stupid jokes, Pete. Just crack on. This is because this is the part everyone sees. The top of the marketing mix iceberg that is there to highlight to customers that you have the best solutions to their problems. The bit that everyone has an opinion about in your workplace. Promotion is exactly what it says. The promotional elements, and these include communication channels such as websites, social, print, and radio, for example. The content, be it audio, visual, or copy. Logos and colours used to distinguish us from the rest of the pack. And the generation of interest and the tactics we will use to gain this interest, it's all part of promotion. But before we even get to that, we need to make sure we're building on solid foundations of research, analysis, and being complementary to the other P's within the marketing mix. And this is the bit that confuses people the most, particularly not in marketing. The fact that this marketing mix needs to be a combination of all 7 P's, if not more P's. Promotion and communication is just the tip that everybody sees. Thank you so much for joining us today on Marketing Study Lab. It really means the world that you're listening to this out there. And hopefully I've provided you some value. If you're looking to know more about what Marketing Study Lab does and is about, go to marketingstudylab.co.uk or get in touch with me personally, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or feel free to email me at peter@marketingstudylab.co.uk. Happy marketing.